Enter the fire. I'm falling. Enter the fire. I'm falling, falling. Dun, dun, dun. Enter the fire. Oh, I love that song. That was dark, and I just sometimes, you just feel like listening to some good old '80s metal, and oh, there, Mr. Pennypacker's on his computer, just sort of tapping away, tapping away. Let's see here. Hey, Billy and Glenn, what you up to? Mr. Pennypacker's working. He's really kind of just sort of putting his hand up, like, saying, "Don't bother me, don't bother me." And okay.
Well, actually, I've been working on the Harvard figure. It's really going really well. I finished over 1,000 essays.
1,000 essays. 1,000 essays. 1,000 essays. I don't know. I just like that word. The way that comes off. Yeah, that's not human. I'm not human, Billy. Oh, but good job, good job. How the heck do you do 1,000 essays? Oh boy, I remember. I can tell you some, man. Mr. Pennypacker, tell me about essays. Do you remember?
All right, look, I'm working on some coding, but I can't really like play with you guys today. I'm just sorry, very busy. Okay, so I did an essay in college about classical mythology, and I got like 100% because I watched enough of those like BBC documentaries, so I was just able to like make it like flow like that. And the whole point is you don't tell the audience everything up front. What you do is you tell them incrementally until you get to the bigger stuff that they never heard of. And once you do that, that's that wow factor, and that gives you that 100. So, Billy, that's very good stuff. That's very good stuff. That's a good kicker. That's a very good kicker right there. You're very good. Okay. So, how's Glenn? I haven't heard my. How crackies. It's Mr. Pennypacker. And it's Dark Milo. Um, I'm doing good, fishing and playing Skyrim. That is the Glenn Farfinger I know. That's the Glenn Farfinger I know. He's just doing the stuff that I expect him to do because he's just a guinea pig.
Oh, he's just a guinea pig. Yes, he just plays video games. And what's the game he's going to be playing?
Well, number one, I've decided that after let's see here. You're playing WWE today. I kind of gave you a reward for helping me out the other day. Uh-huh. So then you gotta play some demons. So you got PlayStation 5 up here. Remember, I'm trying to aim it for this show that you guys play mostly relatively modern stuff. Okay, I say relatively modern because I don't expect you all the time to never ever play something old. I mean, Skyrim's 10, 11, 12 years old now. So anytime you play that, that's getting closer and closer to be retro to some extent, I guess. Well, you probably need an R10 to make it count as retro. So, okay, so you guys are going to probably play God of War. I got that all set up here, and you got the Hogwarts Legacy coming out, but by the time you get to it, it's the folks aren't going to see that on this show probably until like spring or something like that. I assume, yeah, that's how it usually the uploads usually go by. Gosh. Well, Crackers, that's a new game, Billy. It's something different to play. Yeah, it's a quinky dink. Yeah, it's something else. What's really interesting is when Billy really tries to talk like he's smart. Most smart people don't really have to use like 1,000, words out of a freaking dictionary. Yeah, sorry, they just have to just talk normal. You don't have to be like pawing through a thesaurus all the time. Okay, well, you guys get to it. Well, Billy, we are playing WWE 2K. Well, it's good old wrestling, it takes me back to simpler times. You don't. Are you ready to? You, you ready to sneeze or something? Don't you hate when you have to feel like you have to sneeze? That's something else. We're gonna pick a ring and stuff, and Mr. Pennypacker told us he's already made some stuff, so he's already made some stuff here. I like how back when oh, I'm sorry, I have to watch what I say here. Oh, you're going to talk about the event of 2020 that apparently the algorithm doesn't like it when anyone talks about it, even though well, it's because they think you're going to say it didn't happen. You're going to say it was like a, let's just say that you planned it. Yeah, that's right. It was just sort of like you planned. It was just a play. It wasn't real or something. But what it is you're just gonna admit that actually it did happen. It did happen, I guess. And but you can't. You're not allowed because the algorithm is like assuming always the worst out of you. Yeah, well, what it is that what it is that you know the algorithm is so used to just people doing the opposite that it wants it to do. You could actually be being they is generally what it is with this site. They just want everything to be PBS. Believe it or not, you watch cable TV at night, they're allowed to pretty much say whatever they want, pretty much. As long as it's not like racist or anti-Semitic. But it. So that's what they do. So we're being Rowdy Piper and be against Dusty Rhodes. We're kind of getting into this, folks. I really recommend that when you play this game, and this is generally my observation. Look, we play a lot of games here. If you haven't touched this in about like 3 months or something, do a favor and play the tutorial mode. That's what I do, because I'm gonna flat out tell you, you can't remember everything about the system, and I'm sorry. I'm a little bit gassy here. I just ate a cookie. He just ate his cookie. Yeah. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to go for the tutorial mode with that was that guy who used to be on NXT. I think 205 he used to be on. I used to really like him. He was kind of a ground grappler, and yeah, I know what you're talking about. I don't even know if he's still around or not. Well, Billy, we here in this household don't watch. We don't watch new wrestling. Well, I want to flat out tell you, we don't watch. When we say we don't watch new wrestling, we don't watch we don't even really watch even '90s wrestling. We watch like Crockett 1985 wrestling. Oh, Crockett Crackers, that's what we do. We watch the old Southern wrestling and and even with WWF, we watch the from 85 to 90. We don't really pay much attention to what's going on. I mean, I know Freighter. I talked to him on the phone. He says, well, there's when he talks about wrestling, he says, do understand there is people who are extremely talented from different ages that do actually sort of break those barriers. He says. So what happens is he says like for example, like there was several WrestleManias of the 2000s where you did actually have some very decent matches. Like you had the Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels twice in a row. You had Undertaker versus Triple H twice in a row, and very very high caliber, so good matches. What I like about this is that this isn't an excuse just to talk about wrestling. We don't have to actually talk about the game. Or, oh, crackers, yeah. I mean, this is really the sort of the ground levels of. Oh, see, this is how you start off as a heel. You just pound and ground. You just. This is why doing the tutorial is good, because you can really sort of. You can sort of really like feel the systems of the game out. But what we're saying here, folks, is we don't really watch any kind of modern wrestling. But Frater was saying, that do understand it. Sometimes, it is worthwhile to kind of look around. Sometimes WWE on its YouTube channel will upload a lot of old stuff, and he actually says what he likes. He doesn't really like so much to watch like old Raws or anything. Like he used to do the WWE Network and all that, but he says now it's actually more worthwhile to go on WWE's own YouTube channel and just find for free, just find and download all these old matches and create your own sort of WWE Network folder on your computer, and you can because he's saying really, like, if someone is going to be like, well, I want to see all the matches that happen at a certain pay-per-view, you honestly think that all these pay-per-views had 5-star matches? Like, there's actual YouTube sites that actually review a lot of the stuff, and you need to understand, even WCW and so many, they had frankly awful pay-per-views. It was just badly booked. Because there were a bunch of corporate shills, that wouldn't listen to Ole Anderson or anybody, and they just sort of kind of did whatever it took to just get something off the ground, I guess, and it wasn't good. And there's a lot of pay-per-views that are just frankly awful, and so Frater even flat out said, look, listen, man, you really don't want. If there was one good match in a pay-per-view, why would you want to watch the other matches that were just not that great? And don't get me wrong. I mean, there is stuff like Frater likes that really blows people's minds. Like, he really likes WrestleMania 4. Because he said it was like a demo tape of all the talent of the 1980s. You got all the talent. You had Donald Trump in the crowd. It was just sort of a little gold mine there, and it was. And it wasn't. It was kind of weird too. He talked about WrestleMania 4 once. This is really interesting because we're just going on and on and on. It's just like, well, you gotta remember, I'm a redneck. I love my wrestling. But Frater is obsessed. He's obsessed about a lot of it, and he could tell you stuff. Like, he probably could have been a commentator because he's that good at talking about this stuff. But he says that oh boy, I think I'm having a little brain hiccup here. It's because a lot of times that's the problem when you rant. It's because then your brain needs some oxygen to calm down. Oh, well, now Dusty Rhodes is going to get knocked out. He's getting put in that. Well, Dusty's holding on. Nope. It's over for Dusty. He going sleepy, Bill. He got put into that sleeper hold. So, and I think the whole point is Frater was talking about WrestleMania 4, and he was saying how, look, it was kind of funny because it's kind of when they set up that tournament system, they made it so that you know that you know that they set it up so you tried your best you could in that match, and it still says 2.5 stars. Well, it was kind of one sided. I think sometimes you gotta let the computer kind of beat you up on stuff to make it an interesting match. It's not that kind of flow. You do. We're kind of here just to dominate, really. I think we're just doing a bunch of singles matches first, just to kind of get a feel of everything. But like I was saying about WrestleMania 4, Frater was talking about how really, if you think about it, there was dream matches on that pay-per-view. I mean, some pretty good stuff, but it was short because of how much they had on there. I mean, even technically, even he says like WrestleMania 1 actually and ideally had some dream matches on it too, even though no one really thinks of it in any way, because it too is just sort of a tech demo. It's a tech demo of what Vince's company is about, and it wasn't meant to be some 4 hour, 3 day thing. I'm being serious. Like WrestleMania under Vince McMahon, you know, is we got a brawl here between DDP and Scott Hall. That's some good stuff right there. It's really something different, and well, I think we were trying to go for we're going for something a little bit different here, Oh, geez, just try to go for some different stuff here. But again, talking about WrestleMania 4, Frater just loves it because he's like he says it's a kind of a demo tape of just good wrestling, but then he says, really even Starcade '89 is kind of the same deal. Except it involves really some of the best wrestlers, the NWA has ever had. You have in a round robin point system between you have Lex Luger, Sting, Ric Flair, Great Muta, and I don't know if there was anyone else on that, but that was the singles. And the point is the person who won would be considered the wrestler of the future. So it was the person who won was Sting, I believe. I think Sting won. But it was actually, Frater talked about Starkey, and he says, like, some don't like it because, there isn't a story. There isn't there wasn't a feud or there wasn't something. It was more like, it was more like, like, yeah, it was like WrestleMania 4, it wasn't meant to be, it was meant to display the talents of the company. Okay, we just slamming him right into the garage door there. Oh yeah, yeah. And so so basically then Starcade '89 also had a tag team division, which was very good stuff because you had I think the Shane Douglas, and Johnny Ace. I think they were in that tournament. I think. I don't think so. But basically, there was the Steiner Brothers. There was the Legion of Doom. There was the Samoan SWAT team. Half of that team would actually go on to become the Head Shrinkers with Fatu. It was good stuff. Really good stuff. Really fun. I think Midnight Express was part of that too. That was Starkey '89 was good stuff. Boy, DDP is trashing Scott Hall. Wow, that's some crazy stuff. Oh, geez, that's a big hit. But yeah, so basically, So basically, that's Starrcade '89. So, but you need to understand, most pay-per-views you do not need to watch most of the pay-per-view. Like Frater would say, well, most pay-per-views have like maybe at best two matches that are really good. And then the rest is sort of like kind of filler. It's not to say they're bad matches though, but it's just he's just saying is you don't really need to go to that level. He's got like a backyard wrestling type ring. Yeah. Frater told a story how he almost joined a tournament back in high school. There was a backyard wrestling tournament once, and it never happened. The kid who was making the ring, apparently everyone reported him, and the police made him, you know, made him take the ring down. It was going to be made out of milk cartons or something. I couldn't imagine that being a very steady ring, but you know. So, what's the rules of this? Is there pinfall or there is actually no pinfall with this. This is actually totally KO. You got to knock out the other guy. So this you just kind of keep going like this until he just doesn't like get back up. So I don't know. You just kind of keep doing and going. You just kind of keep going and going, and then hopefully that you win. Oh, hopefully you don't lose. So what? I gotta ask you a question, Glenn. What's your favorite Royal Rumble? Because we're talking about wrestling here. Oh, crackies, crackies, I thought the 93 Rumble was kind of good. Everyone will tell you flat out that the default Royal Rumble is always going to be the 92 because that's when Ric Flair won the world title. That's surely I've never watched the 92 one all the way through. Oh, there we go. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. You get the knockout and you win. And it was rated a very good match. 3 stars. That's pretty good out of 5 stars. So, okay. I noticed they have a 5-star system. Is that a tribute to Dave Meltzer? Oh, cracky crackers! They don't mention good old Dave Meltzer, our buddy. Dave Meltzer. We love our Dave Meltzer here on the Farfinger Gaming Show. Folks, we actually got some of Dave Meltzer's books. We actually do. And actually, speaking of that, actually, is we actually also know there's another book of his that we could get. There is actually a Wrestling Observer yearbook for 1995. It has all the Wrestling Observers. We got a couple here. And we got like 93, 97, 99. And those are really worthwhile because it takes you. What it is he took the Wrestling Observers what he did is, folks, he took the Wrestling Observers from those years and sort of like sort of organized them to better show what was going out through the year, like, well, let me go get one. I actually have to say, out of all commentary I've done on the show, this is probably like some of the best commentary. Now, I'm sorry to say I have a heart for wrestling, and It's just good stuff, you know. Oh, for example, this is 1997, the year of the Montreal Screwjob. I'm sorry, folks. I farted. Okay, so just looking at the contents page of the 1997, the future of no holds barred fighting. You know, first, you know, because it goes in chronological order. And then right now we got a match with Dynamite Kid and X Pac, also known as Six. This is back when he was in WCW for a short time before basically he did too much drugs and he basically made an annoyance out of himself. So the contents page of the Wrestling Observer yearbook for 97 goes in chronological order. I would arguably say that that's probably the best year because it sort of studies the problems of the WWF. It focuses on, you know, the issues with Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels and, you know, WCW, because WCW was pretty much the ratings king in 97. So yeah, I have first, it starts off with the future of no holds fighting because there was issues with UFC and the law. You know, many states were not keen on MMA. So then you have major changes to WWF programming, the origins of WCW Thunder. Shawn Michaels loses his smile. Shawn Michaels went through a period where I think this is what happened. Vince McMahon wanted to have Shawn drop the belt to Bret at WrestleMania. And generally what it's been fought is that Shawn didn't want to drop the belt, so he faked a knee injury. Okay. It doesn't mean that they didn't pick up having a feud. They actually turned Bret heel because with WrestleMania 13 he turned heel because the fans were starting to really love Stone Cold Steve Austin, so they saw where things were going, you know, and really they were trying to make Bret Hart into kind of like a crybaby, basically. So that happened, and WWF versus ECW versus USWA. You were starting to get into you were starting to get into for the first time WWF actually acknowledging other promotions. They actually never really used to. The first ever promotion they ever acknowledged was Smoky Mountain. They allowed Jim Cornette and his talent on because they were kind of making new development territories because what it was is Smoky Mountain wasn't it did initially really well, and then it started to kind of go under because the wrestling scene in the mid 90s was just not very good. So then what ended up happening was just they also made USWA into a sort of development territory, and really in reality they didn't want to really acknowledge ECW because it really was too adult. But what ended up happening is that hey, remember when he used to do the chicken wing? Hey, yeah, I remember that too. He must have got that idea from Bob Backlund. You know, he thought like being a heel, doing the chicken wing would be actually a better. Of course, remember this is a ladder match. This is a ladder match, folks. You can't beat someone with a chicken wing in a ladder match. That kind of knocks him out a little bit. Okay. So, like I said, there was all of this. Then they had ECW actually, like, they were starting to invite them on the show because at the time, they were losing so bad to WCW, they really needed to really start doing things off the wall. And they were starting to wake up. And actually, I got on a hard drive the entire year of '96. And you would think that that was like the worst year. And actually, once I told you that by the summer, they really do start to wake up that WCW had become a machine and was really starting to hurt them, and they had to actually start to actually like admit, yeah, we got to actually kind of take this seriously, and but yeah, they were still far away from realizing what they had to do to fight WCW. So again, you had them against ECW and stuff like that, and it it was actually pretty fun TV at the time, and I think that's where I came to the realization back then, like that Ted Turner WCW, that maybe it's not good that they win the war against Vince McMahon, because as much as Vince is actually responsible for all of this, because he destroyed the territories, and so it's really down to him why if it failed. Now, just yeah, I'm gonna be honest, these ladder matches kind of suck in this game because they don't make it easy to put the ladder right underneath the belt. I always have a hard time lining it up right. A lot of times I have to sort of wait for the computer to do it. So then in the book, WCW attempts to purchase New Japan Pro Wrestling. I didn't get to that part. Oh, it's Hulk Hogan. Hollywood Hulk Hogan's coming down to help Six. Well, that's I can't. That was wild because I was kind of like going, well, we're doing just fine. We're doing just fine, folks. We don't really need to. Uh, um, we're doing just fine. We just need to kind of figure out how to position this ladder under this belt. But yeah, Hollywood Hulk Hogan came out to help us, like the Hulkster. We're Hulkamaniacs here up in Crackton, Ohio, and in the Minnesota area. Well, we're really real fans of the Hulkster, and of course, Dynamite Kid is destroying him. But to be honest, we gotta. We're still trying to figure out how to get to the freaking belt. Ouch. Yeah, that's some painful stuff. Okay, so really what it is okay. Back to the book. I hadn't gotten to this point reading this, by the way. Let's see here. Yeah, it changes the WWF program, and I just started to read it at the time. WCW attempts to purchase New Japan Pro Wrestling. I don't know what that's about. I never even heard of that back then, but which was kind of the idea when you had Meltzer's newspaper, I guess, because you never knew what was really going on back then. But a lot of this stuff, you better be warned, isn't all entirely factual. It was based on mostly people um, trying to, like David Taylor, and stuff. They're trying to, not David Taylor, Terry Taylor, trying to basically get attention and stuff, and maybe get some, whatever. So then, you have the Ken Shamrock signs with WWF. You have Neo Ogawa signs with New Japan Pro Wrestling. Who later on would win the NWA Pro Wrestling. Gosh. Problem is when we do this show, a lot of times I've slept most of the day and ate a cookie, and it's just all your body is just reacting in ways that it shouldn't do when you're broadcasting. Okay, so then you have Dennis Rodman signs for WCW. Eric Bischoff, as much as Eric Bischoff talks a lot of stuff in these shoot interviews, one of the things he never usually talks about is the reality is his vision of wrestling was to be celebrity wrestling. He really liked the idea of pay-per-views where it was like Jay Leno versus Rodman or something like that. It wasn't like I was not a fan of the. Now here's a good question, Glenn. Like the ladder is not even perfectly positioned. In the middle of the ring or anything like. What is that about? I mean, I don't know, Billy. Like, there probably should be like, look, if you're gonna be setting the ladder up to so you can climb it, why not? Look, Billy, look, it's happening again. The game wouldn't even let me. It wouldn't even freaking let me set up the ladder. Yeah, see, like you're right, you're right above it, and yeah. But then when he does it, then it's like the computer cheats because it goes like, oh yeah, well, you know. Yeah, and the computer cheats because like, you're trying to go up the ladder, and grab the briefcase. The game's kind of going, well, well, you're out of bounds. You're out of bounds. You're not even close to it. So you're gonna have to do something else. And then you go, now wait a minute here. Now that computer guy, he was able to grab that briefcase from that corner. Now I can't. What? Why? Why? Why are you making me look stupid, computer? There's a lot of games we're just not very good at. It's kind of like, well, Billy, what it is we're really good at Super Mario Brothers, but then after that was kind of like we kind of got lost and we just got lost after Super Mario, and then we started doing modern games and just started sucking at them, and it's okay. I think sucking's okay as long as you call it out. Like you tell folks, yeah, we're terrible, we're awful. We're not like DSP, who will just. Well, I think DSP's too. He's gotten to a level of grift that he's trying to rip people off with like so he could put money into like his phone games and stuff and his gambling and yeah, it's a thing. I think at this rate, I think I like the way I am. I would just shut the thing off. Now, see, it's not even the briefcase is literally right there. Literally right there. This is really awful. Uh, I can't even believe what we put up with here. Hey, you gotta just keep beating up Dynamite Kid, like, and this is terrible because the match technically should have been over. We've well beaten him, but it's the stupid game. It keeps going. Oh, you're not even close to the briefcase. You're not even close to the briefcase. You're not even remotely. You know what? Another thing I just realized too that's terrible about this game is look at where is the briefcase? Like you need to like look at the overhead shot to kind of get an idea. But if you actually look at it, you would think they would at least put a shadow of the briefcase on the ground, so then that way you can go, okay, Put the ladder. You would put the ladder right there. I didn't even think about that right there. Holy cow, he really knocked it. Now watch. He'll be able. Okay, never mind. He's having the same problem. Okay, so the computer is literally like. The computer is literally like. Okay, yeah. Now, see right there. Now he's able to kind of like do that, and then I don't know, folks. Like, folks, really, like on the Steam Deck now, we got a Steam Deck, thanks to Mr. Pennypacker, and we got all those games in the emo deck. We could play. Um, this is a really stupid mini game. It's just stupid. Like, I'm sorry, we're not going to be playing. No, you can't do this. You really gotta do all that just to fucking do this? This is stupid. I like how he's just like tapping you on the stuff. It's a lot of work. Who thought about that? Like, we're gonna do this and we're gonna do that, and well, at least the good thing is like it saves the progress of what you did. It's not like oh fudge, I'm screwing it up. Okay, okay. We won the match. That has got to be the dumbest ladder match I've ever played in a video game. We like No Mercy here. We like the Aki games. The Aki games just do it right. They got the ladder matches right. Well, at least they said the match was amazing. Well, it should be because it just kind of went on and on and on and on. It should lose points just from the fact it went on too long. I know. I know. Okay, bro, back to this Meltzer book. And this is kind of a good way to kind of keep this. We could actually talk to the complete hour. We don't have to like repeat the audio. We do that a lot here. And Frater says most people aren't paying attention, so you could just repeat it. But so then of course Ken Shamrock signed, and Rodman, all that, and then Dr. Death was arrested. Steve Williams. It's not Dr. Kevorkian. This is like Steve Williams. I don't know what that one's about. What what we have time. I mean, what want me to go read it? Yeah, we can go read it, Glenn. Yeah, let's do that. Dr. Steve Williams. Like I said, I love my wrestling. I also love the dirt sheets. Back then, that was good stuff. Steve Williams, the top American star of All Japan Pro Wrestling, who also works for ECW and was involved in serious negotiations with the World Wrestling Federation, over the past week was arrested on the morning of 3/17 at the Lorraine sorry, I was just paying attention to who we were picking as far as wrestlers. I was gonna say that's pretty interesting to have Liger, Ric Flair, Bret Hart, and Goldberg. That's actually kind of like a crazy matchup. It's an elimination chamber. You're gonna have Andre too. Oh my goodness, that's quite a lineup of wrestlers. Oh, Williams was caught for at least the third time in his pro wrestling career coming through airports with drugs in his case. With drugs. In this case, inspectors found undeclared pharmaceutical drugs inside luggage belonging to Williams and two traveling companions who are not involved in pro wrestling.
The three were charged with a felony possession of a controlled substance and were released from Webb County Jail after posting $25,000 bond each. Drugs seized included 80 boxes of Neopercogen, 17 boxes of Valium, 16 boxes of Halcyon, 15 boxes of Tamagixic, 26 boxes of... Oh my goodness, oh me, oh my. That's a lot of stuff. Are we allowed to actually list that stuff? Like, I mean, like, you know what, Billy? I don't really care. I know Mr. Pennypacker, but even he's kind of keyed in. That they just kind of get if you're just kind of it's your time to go. They just kick you from the platform. So we're given the history of wrestling. If the algorithm goes, I don't like that, I can't stop it. It's the way it is, and the way it is, and it's the way it's always going to be. So, Dr. Death, and trust me, it kind of keeps going, okay, as far as what the police caught, okay? So, the stuff, I'm not even going to say the other word because maybe you're right. Maybe I need to kind of back off. Basically, all that stuff was painkillers. And pro wrestlers, a lot of times there's always going to be a guy. I think The Undertaker was one of these guys that basically you went to him because he carried all this stuff on him. These guys, like, you need to understand, I watched a shoot interview of Eric Bischoff, and that was a really sad interview because he talked about Hulk Hogan. And a lot of people, they think, oh, he had so much money and so much power, who cares? In actual reality, the one thing that's really worthwhile to watch is he'll actually flat out tell you Hulk Hogan was in serious, devastating pain for the end of his career. Yeah, he might have been the main event WCW, but he suffered for it. He his whole body was shot from all the pain he was in, and he was on every kind of painkiller imaginable. He said he was actually on so many that most normal people couldn't survive what he was on. That's actually how unreal the amount of painkillers he was on. So again, he got Dr. Death. Steve Williams, which are, let's see, these types of painkillers are very popular today with more pro wrestlers than you think. For obvious and not so obvious reasons, Laredo is a city just across the Mexican border. So he was getting this stuff across the border, which is not a surprise. And the story ran on the AP wire and was carried in numerous newspapers across the country. While we haven't received any official word on this, one would think it would be very likely the arrest would at least temporarily kill the WWF's current interest in bringing him in. We say temporarily since WWF brought Crush back more than 1 year after his arrest on steroid and weapons charges, and actually used that arrest as part of his angle. The general belief is that Williams was being brought in as a potential opponent for Ken Shamrock. It is also unclear how this will affect his position with All Japan, but the arrest received significant play in Japan as well, since Williams was the third most popular foreign wrestler in the country. WWF signed Del Wilkes, another of All Japan's top foreign stars, who's better known as the Patriot, to a multi-year contract. Wilkes, who was last week voted in Weekly Pro Wrestling magazine as the fifth most popular foreign wrestler in the country, is believed to have signed within the past 10 days. He hadn't worked All Japan since the December Tag Team Tournament. Here, his partner of Kenta Kobashi, due to an injury, was apparently during his recuperation had decided to explore the WWF option, and the two sides have on and off again talks for at least a month or two. Those close to Williams believed that he was most likely that he would be signing with Titan, which has been after him and on and off for the past 2 years, and that all before the arrest there was no word on how or if the situation in regard to Titan's interest in him will change or how that would affect the status of All Japan Pro Wrestling. Yeah, so yeah, it just kind of goes on and on like that, and it was, this stuff isn't rewritten. It's pretty much, this is pretty much how it was back in the day. I mean, all Meltzer did is this is more of an archive that is chronologically set up to line up how it would have throughout the year. Oh, let's move those, and I'll move these boxes. And then that is it. We got a lot of stuff here, guys. Yeah, we got a lot of stuff. And I can go back to the contents page because I just wanted to kind of like dig deep into the wrestling. Like I said, we got 1993, 1999. 99 is when the WWF was like they were at the top. They had Steve Austin, they had all that stuff. So right now, Andre, Bret Hart, and Ric Flair are just absolutely rocking right now. That would be kind of a nightmare, You have Andre, and it's sort of like, man. Well, yeah, you would want to, in premise, try to eliminate him first. But, I can't remember. Well, it doesn't sound very good to. It shows you I'm not really paying attention. A lot of this stuff's recorded footage, folks. I know people like to. There's some people we watch like Neebs Gaming and stuff. They do such a good job at creating like TV drama out of like survival video games. And there's some of my favorite. So, but yeah, nonetheless, like what we were saying it's just like, we're back to what we were talking about here. And they talk about pay-per-view censorship. They talk about WCW versus ECW. ECW arrives on pay-per-view. Frater talked about in the late 90s he went to see November to Remember in 1998. And ECW pay-per-view. He's also seen ECW. He saw ECW in 97. In like New Kensington, he said. Of course, New Kensington. He says that usually the only time New Kensington anyone hears of New Kensington is if there's some major crime or fire or there's some disaster. Pennsylvania's got a lot of like destroyed manufacturing areas that used to make a lot of money off manufacturing, and once that went away, it was sort of like they just started to crumble, But Frater got to see some of that, and he said that it was very, very cool stuff. Got that figure 4 on. Yeah, he got the figure 4. Oh, he's gonna make him tap out, is he? Brett's holding on.
Yeah, Brett's coming back. Brett's coming back. He's not gonna tap out. I don't know if we're Brett or we're Ric Flair. I can't. I'm not sure. So, uh, okay. So then you have WCW versus ECW. You have ECW versus pay per view. WWF working with FMW. FMW had been formerly a hardcore wrestling promotion in Japan, and I hate to say it, became a sports entertainment sellout. They to the point that really what they were doing in Japan was kind of unheard of. They were becoming the WWE of Japan, which really was a failure because there is no such thing. There is no, New Japan and All Japan are the way they are because they can't. And we in Ric Flair won. Yeah, I kind of wonder. I think we were Ric Flair because generally we usually like to be Flair if we can. And as you can see, it's a younger Flair too. And then of course you got Vader arrested in Kuwait. He kind of manhandled a reporter and got arrested, and WWE had to work with getting him out. Then Bret Hart versus Shawn Michaels, and New Japan Pro Wrestling versus All Japan Pro Wrestling. Riki Choshu retires. WWF versus WCW, the Battle of Los Angeles. Wrestling's drug problem. Maurice Smith upsets Mark Coleman. Steve Austin injured at WrestleMania. That's when he took the pile driver from Owen Hart. Owen Hart, for some reason, did a sit down pile driver that really you couldn't protect the other guy. I really don't know what he was thinking. It was a devastating move. And what he would do is he would do like an Undertaker tombstone pile driver, except instead of falling on his knees, which would give enough ample protection to the other guy, he would what he would do is he would do a sit down pile driver, which I don't even know why Vince McMahon was letting him do that, because there's no way to protect the other guy. I don't know if he did that to people he didn't like, or there was always questions of Owen Hart didn't like Steve Austin, like that, that because Austin apparently did a move just like that to Masahiro Chono, Billy, and he hurt him bad with it. So some people think that he might have been trying to kind of do a little payback or something. I don't know. There's probably some kind of there's things that go on behind the scenes in wrestling that we don't fully understand. Generally, Owen Hart generally has the reputation of being a very funny guy and very loved guy in wrestling. So now we're doing a Royal Rumble, Billy. And there's times this game shines. I just think they put it out so much that, really, they were putting this game out every year to the point it was just turning into broken garbage every year. So it was I think recently they finally decided to only put it out maybe every 2 or 3 years or something like that. But there is a new one they're bringing out for this year. It'd probably be at the end of the year or something like that, or in a couple months. Penny Packer has kind of had a little press conference with us behind the scenes, and he says no, we're not playing that because it's not going to be any much different than this. It's just going to have a different kind of a roster or whatever, and I think we'll just decide, that, if we play any more WWE, it'll be this, or he says that, we're modern gaming. Maybe we can play something on the Steam Deck once we see how well that streams or not. Penny Packers kind of said that about the Steam Deck. what it is to stream off of it, you have to do it in desktop mode to run OBS, and it really is a crapshoot. It works. It can work well depending on the game, and it's not tested. None of that stuff's tested in desktop mode. There's a game mode in the Steam Deck, and that's um, entirely how it is. So so we're not. He kind of said we're not really gonna try to make footage from that because it's gonna be too weird. Freighter has said he has streamed from it, but he says that you know it's very funky about what games work. He could get GTA 4 to work, but he said that it's not. There's some things it's really good at, but you gotta remember you're streaming for desktop mode. Ladies and gentlemen, the Steam Deck wasn't made to stream from. Really, it wasn't designed. You're doing things you're not. It wasn't probably really designed to do. That wasn't probably part of their intentions. It's a computer. It's a portable computer. It's a really good portable computer. It is, and but you need to understand that it's a little computer too. So you got to realize you might be doing things that it's not got the power to do. Or it has some of that, but it's going to be kind of funky. Like I said, we've seen Freighter do some live streams from Twitch with that, but streaming from a Stream Deck. So, where were we talking about? we get off on a rant here. Okay, so they talk about wrestling's drug problems. Murray Smith, yeah. First 3-hour WCW Nitro. It's kind of funny talk about that now because WWF's Monday Night Raw went to 3 hours. So it's kind of like they didn't pay attention to what WCW sins were. They just kind of went whatever. So let's see here. Sabu captures ECW title. Death of Plumerico. Not entirely sure what that is. Arn Anderson retires. Yeah, Arn Anderson developed a nerve issue in his left arm, I believe. And it was because what happened was in 1990 or 91, him and Tully Blanchard were taking on the Rockers. Marty Jannetty didn't tuck. He was doing a roll on Arn Anderson. Well, Sean and Marty were doing rolls like a Frankensteiner roll on the Brainbusters. Sean did the roll and tucked Tully in and protected him. Marty did not, because Marty is sort of renowned for being kind of a screw up as far as not being entirely all safe. And so, yeah. So that happened. And as a result, he developed a broken neck, and he actually admitted that he went a long time without having it treated. Which sounds unbelievable, but these are very tough old Southern wrestlers, and they actually. I guess when you're in a world where you deal with such pain from being slammed, dropped, you name it, it probably would get to the point where even having a broken neck is just part of the job. Until one day you realize you don't move right anymore. That's probably what happens, folks. So, let's see here. Then I'm reading down the contents page of 1997. This is kind of a way to do the show. This is the most we've ever really talked. I don't even think I'm going to be able to finish this contents page because right now we're at about an hour, and this show is almost done here, so I gotta have to speed it up here. So AJW goes bankrupt. This is not All Japan Pro Wrestling. This is some kind of oh, it's like Jersey. It was a pro wrestling promotion. I think it was in New Jersey. And they went bankrupt or something. I guess. Shinya Hashimoto's reign comes to an end. I don't know what that is. Probably IWGP title. Todd Gordon leaves ECW. Mark Hall throws fight. Life and death of Brian Pillman. Yes, Brian Pillman sadly died in this year and was a great talent and really was still very new to WWF. He had really kind of wasted his career in WCW. He had a lot of great matches in WCW, but he just wasn't pushed. And Kane looks really good right there. Yeah, he's got that shine on his costume, and I understand that's entirely a created wrestler right there that the community made, and you could actually go online and download wrestlers people made. So if you don't want to make anything, and generally we're lazy, so we just go on there and we download a whole bunch of wrestlers we like and stuff. Mansoor, that's an awkward name. Oh, that's right. He's wrestler. I think he comes from like Saudi Arabia. He's Mansoor is actually from like Saudi Arabia, and he's actually pretty talented. He was on like 205 back in the day. He's a very talented wrestler. I don't know what they've done with him since, and since I haven't heard from him, that's the chances are probably not very good because it's WWF, and WWF runs out of ideas for people very fast. So let's see here. Randy Couture beats Vader Belfort. Battle for Mexico. Of course, the infamous Montreal Screwjob. WCW's record-breaking year. WWF controversy. WWF and UFC working together. Fan riots. The demise of USWA. Bits and pieces. WWF ins and outs. Well, I guess bits and pieces is they cover like a bunch of smaller topics like W Shotgun Saturday Night, Billy Jack Haynes versus Matt Bourne, Misawa Three-Peats, Jacques Rougeau, Mark Madden versus Jerry McDivitt, Dan Severn, WWF on the MSG Network, Hulk Hogan, Kurt Hennig, Kingdom, real life fights in ECW, WWF, and WCW auto accidents. That would be a section we would want to read, obviously. WCW women's division, which was kind of practically no division that I ever remember. It was pretty much just Medusa. Because they had no idea about if anyone would be interested in a women's division, and they didn't really care. Eric Bischoff never cared about that. Well, Great Muta is getting like kind of thumped there. Right? Can he hold on? I think he can. I think Great Muta can. Let's see here. Invader versus Trump. Leaf Cassidy. Michinoku. Leaf Cassidy was Al Snow. This was one of his failed gimmicks. One night only changes. Steven Regal, WWF discontent, WWF versus New Japan Pro Wrestling, Survivor Series changes, Gorilla Monsoon, All Japan Pro Wrestling, working with FMW, Rick Rude, Kevin Sullivan, Ted Turner on Nitro, Yokozuna, Joe Higuchi retires, that was a referee in New Japan, Disco Inferno, New Jack, Scott Hall, Jim Cornette, Reggie White, Psycho Sid, Rich and Gilbert arrested, Alex Wright versus Hard Body Harrison. Cruiserweight WCW. The Ultimate Warrior, Strange IFC main event. Billy Travis, WCW backstage. Hold on a second. New Japan says Wrecker Nagoya. Clash of Champions finish. Jeff Jarrett, Sportatorium, Phil LaFont. WWF ins and outs. WCW ins and outs. Business and analysis. Supercard summary. Big Show directory. Domestic pay-per-view events. Big Show's directory. Major international events. 1997 pay-per-view drawing cards. 1997 final match quality ratings. Wrestling Observer newsletter awards. And that's like 403 pages of the Wrestling Observer yearbook by Dave Meltzer for 1997. And like I said, there's also a 1995. There's a 2014. 2014, of course, is when 2014, of course, is when the CM Punk stuff happened, and we didn't get that one. That was, we were kind of not, we were busy working. We didn't really pay attention to wrestling that much. We knew about the CM Punk stuff, though, but, there's probably nothing new there that would be like, oh, I never thought about that. It was usually just the guy was dealing with a bunch of injuries, and he didn't want to wrestle anymore for WWF. So right now, let's see here. Yeah, I think that is Kerry Von Erich. Yeah, that's Kerry Von Erich. We got him from the community area of the game. And Sheamus's body's glitching a little bit. His body's getting a little twitchy-witchy. I want that. Yeah, that'll happen. Actually, I'm surprised. This game. I think we were running it for about an hour or more. Before we ever did any footage, and I don't remember any really serious glitches though. Yeah. Well, Kerry Von Erich has been eliminated. I'll let you know, I can't remotely remember, folks, where we were being in this game. I hate to say it, folks, but most of the time, there are times when some streamers they'll play a game live. We don't. We'll record the footage beforehand, and then we go in Audacity and record it. I don't think you're supposed to give that away. That's kind of like Wizard of Oz. If the wizard just kind of came forward, there's too much singing in that movie. Oh, I shouldn't have brought that up. Yeah, we gonna have to talk about it. That poor guy right there just got knocked the heck out, man. I didn't really say shook so much. How much it's glitching out? They're glitching out. Oh no, Sheamus. That's a risk of doing that move. You can get eliminated. I don't know if we were being Sheamus. You can actually just keep playing it, dude. I mean, you don't have to actually you don't, after you get eliminated, you don't have to turn off the game. You can come in as the next guy and stuff. So you just keep playing and playing it. Yeah, the Wizard of Oz. I would love to edit out all the singing. Frater has autism and ADHD, and he says what it is he's very story driven. He's a writer. He likes stories. He says he likes stories, and he actually says that in itself, Wizard of Oz is a great story, but where it goes bad is because of the singing. He feels like while the songs are very memorable, it's kind of like, well, he said like about Wizard of Oz. He says, look, back then I could imagine, yeah, you could put all these songs on a vinyl record or cassette tape, whatever, back then, and it's fine. That's fine, folks. And you could have the songs in the credits or in the beginning credits or whatever. But can you not interrupt the story? Could you not like interrupt it and be like, "I'm here to see the Wizard of Oz," because, and it's kind of like because I want to see a story, not because I want to see you sing. See that Frater pretty much says it. He admits that there's much about life he can't enjoy because he has to deal with stories. He has to deal with singing. He's not into singing or dancing. So basically, he couldn't watch Singing in the Rain. Frater would probably have a conniption. He would probably have a conniption if he saw Singing in the Rain. Because, like, he would see Singing in the Rain and be like, what is the point of this? Like, I can just go on YouTube and just look up dances and like Frater, but then Frater would be like, well, why would I do that? You know what I mean, like that? Like he would be like, why would I do that? Why would I look up dances? Like, why would I do that? He's it's very weird because he plays guitar sometimes. He plays guitar, but he hates sounds. He admits that there's a huge consistency with him. He admits he hates actually a lot of different sounds in music, but in reality, he actually likes some. I don't know. He just kind of likes. He likes things when he likes it. He says it's hard to describe, with his like autism and stuff. He just sort of like he pull out that guitar and he'll put on some sound effects to it and do some like Eddie Van Halen type stuff, and that's the way he is. But he's saying about Wizard of Oz, he says if you were to make an edit of it where it takes all the singing out of it, I know it would. He said it would probably only be like 20 minutes or 10 minutes or something like that, but at least it would be like very entertaining. He thinks it would be like perfect. But again, it's all the singing. Oh no, not Osmos. Yeah, Osmos is a guy where his whole thing, his whole talent is he's tall. That's it. Yeah, he's not. I have never heard anyone say, "Well, he's a great wrestler." It's like, no, he's just tall. He's just a very tall wrestler. Yeah, he's just a very tall wrestler. And that's pretty much it. I think we're. I think. I think vocally we're getting tired. Well, typically, folks, we don't go a whole show. We sometimes do like maybe 20 minutes, an hour, or something, half hour. But because it was wrestling, it was like an endless well of stuff we could talk about, and we got the Dave Meltzer book out, and we just had a field day. Okay, so well, the show's almost done. We're pretty much about done here. We had kind of a good time the show, but tell you what, Mister Pennypacker's got some ideas. He's got lined up for us. he says he's got a lot of PlayStation 5. He's doing some PlayStation 5 with us. He's kind of gearing that up. Well, okay, so I think who we are right now is Titus O'Neil, which that's not exactly who we would want to be in a wrestling game, but it's a Royal Rumble, and the choice is either you let the computer be somebody or you just kind of take a loss, you know. So there is something you can do in this game. Um, there is something you can do to kind of keep in these Royal Rumbles. So what you do is you get on the rope like this. When anyone comes forward, you can either do a double axe handle or you can just kind of kick them back. And that'll kind of stun lock them. And then you can do something. Okay, so now we're the last. We're the last two now. We're Titus O'Neil. We're we're in this from the long haul here, and we're gonna try to beat this guy. We're gonna beat this guy good. Now we're just gonna pummel him. There, we won. That's what you do. I know, like, you're gonna think in a Royal Rumble situation you would grapple and then try to wrestle them out of the ring. No, 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 no. Just start punching them, because if they get into a stun lock, you may actually knock them down. Like, you saw that guy had full health though, so we were able to get rid of him fairly quickly because of that, and we won the Royal Rumble, folks. Look, 5 stars, greatest of all time. Yeah. Okay, folks. That's all for today. You all have a great night.